Hello, my beautiful baddies. Welcome back to yet another episode of Your Inner Baddie Speaking. Today's a special episode because I'm actually joined by a guest, and it's our first guest on Your Inner Baddie Speaking. We have Deepak Chari, and we connected probably a few weeks ago now, and I was just fascinated by the work that you do and sort of the new way of healing. At least it was new to me, I'll say. I hadn't heard of the type of work that you've done previously. And it was so nice to kind of see another way to really achieve becoming your authentic self. You know, a lot of the themes that I talk about on the podcast and previous episodes are all really how to form, your confidence and really get to the true you, your authentic self. And I really felt like through our conversation, you touched on so much of that. So it was really lovely to see another way that people can get the same result. And, different things work for different people, right? So it's lovely to have you, Deepak. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into your work in emotional healing. And I know as I should state for everybody, you're an engineer and certified biofeedback specialist. So tell us what that is, because I got to be honest, when I first met you, I had no idea what it was.
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Corinne. It's a pleasure to be here. So yes, as you said, my name is Deepak Chari. Engineer and certified biofeedback specialist. But the journey of how I got to this place and dealing with the voice specifically is very interesting. You see, it started with my childhood journey, in my case, of being bullied as a kid, and also being kind of a loner, a bookworm kind of person. So so my safe place was hiding in the library, and because I liked books, because I was a bookworm. So I would hide in different aisles at different times. And while I was there, I said, okay, so I'm kind of hiding out here, so I may as well occupy my time. I would grab seemingly random books from the shelf, and those books happened to be on the law of attraction. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know what law of attraction is. Books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends, Influence People, As a Man Thinketh, books by Dr. Joseph Murphy on manifesting things. So these all inspired me, made me feel better about myself so I could face the challenging world I was in.
Yeah.
So, this pattern continued, through my childhood, in junior high, even high school. It shifted in the bullying kind of pattern of, to later on, like, well, you don't fit in our group. In fact, Deepak, you don't fit in any of our groups. So I was kind of a loner, like, I don't have anybody now, I'm alone. Then after I said, okay, now it's time to graduate high school. So now this whole pattern of bullying will be all over, right? Well,
we all assume that every stage of life we get this like immediate fresh start, which is true in some ways, but it can be very hard to break.
Exactly. Again, I assumed that, right? Because I'm an adult now. I'm a huge 18 years old, right? So, but then I noticed I was drawing Corinne, all these negative, narcissistic, mean, cruel, manipulative, controlling, gaslighting. I mean, every negative thing you can think of in the book, like the people you want to avoid, those are my friends. Those are my classmates, professors, bosses, supervisors, and even relationships, in this case with women. So I said, my gosh, okay, now it's shifted to this, but they're all still kind of bullying. They're all negative. Well, I guess it's better if I have negative people than no one in my life, is what I thought. And so
well, we commonly think that loneliness is or being alone is such a negative thing, and that we'd rather have people around who aren't good for you, but it's because you're like, well, I don't want to be alone. And I think a lot of people have struggled with that. I've definitely struggled with that it's hard to let go of somebody or people in your life, especially if you feel like you're surrounded by a lot of those types. And I was too at one point in my life. And you're like, well, what's better, dealing with them or dealing with no one?
Exactly. And this kind of pattern continued. So So, for example, if I had a job with horrible supervisors or bosses, I would leave those jobs, go, sometimes 100 miles away, but I would attract the same kind of people. They would look totally different. They'd even have a different personality, but their nature was still the bullying, bossy kind of controlling, manipulative kind of people. And even relationships and all that. It would keep repeating. So I said, wait a minute, the only thing common here is me in all of these situations, even though I leave them. So is this a pattern that I'm just going to have my whole life, is what I kind of thought, basically, So going back to my childhood again, when I was being raised as a kid, I used to give my dad his pharmaceutical medications for high blood pressure and other health issues he had. That's what the doctor said will heal him up. Well, I did this over and over again. And then suddenly, when I was a teenager, from a young kid, at the age of 51, he suddenly died of a massive heart attack. And my mom, was a widow instantly. And she had 2 teenage kids, my sister and I. So I thought, my sister and I looked at each other and said, how did this happen? Why did this happen? But then we looked at each other and said, could we prevent this in the future somehow, some way from happening to anyone else so this unfortunate situation doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Fast forward, okay, now I'm, attracting all these people in my life, and my sister had a passion to do medicine, but to do it from a natural point of view, natural alternative medicine, because the pharmaceutical approach didn't work in this case of our dad.
Yeah.
So she pursued that, which no one was doing at the time. And then I saw all the tons of people, and mainly women, she was healing of all these medical issues, and men too. So I was working as an engineer in the field, and the reason I chose engineering is because my dad was. So, but when I saw all the people she was healing, I said, you know what? I think I'd like to shift from this engineering, improving productivity, efficiency in companies, quality control, into changing someone's life, because when you change that person's life, it changes the life of all the people they're with. And then it keeps going like that. So I told my sister and I formed the Chari Center of Health. So I said, I would like to work at our own center that I'm managing. She said, well, that's okay, but you don't have a medical background. How are you going to work here? I go, you're right. But this is where it connects to my childhood. Remember the law of attraction stuff? Mm-hmm. I said, wait a minute. I read books on you can manifest stuff by putting your intention. I have nothing to lose here. So I put my intention, universe, can you somehow guide me to help me to work in our own center in some way to heal people with my engineering background, since I don't have a medical degree? Yeah, I said it like that. A couple of weeks later, some friends came up to me and said, Deepak, this guy's going to be speaking in Santa Monica, California. We lived in San Diego, California at the time.
Yeah.
How your voice reveals all your perceptions of the world, including your limiting perceptions, negative emotions, negative thoughts, self-sabotage patterns, whatever it is. And most importantly, how certain frequencies determined by computerized voice maps can be sent to that person specifically to release those limiting patterns, regardless of how long they've had them, and even if it's their whole life. So I was really excited to go, this sounds really cool, because I have a technical background. And this is technical. And the light bulb went on. Wait a minute. Could I do this at our center? I remember my sister said you didn't have the medical background. So I went up to him, the person teaching about this, the one who created the software that I currently use. Mm-hmm. I would like to learn this whole process. And I'd like to apprentice with you. And he says, okay, you know what? I'll just take one more person and that you'll be it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. It's the right place, right time.
Exactly.
So see how that manifested. So I apprenticed with him. I learned it. And he saw me as I worked in the trenches with all these different people to clear depression, anxiety, fears, phobias, emotional trauma, whatever it is. And then I thought, oh, this is good. I got it down. But I wonder, because of this engineering degree, this is where that fits in, if I streamline things, make things more efficient, cut some steps. And I was able to do that. So I wanted to call it a different name. So I called it my Life Transformation Technology Program, because I found it transforms your life even faster. So then I said, okay, now that I created this, let me see, can I clear this program I had? Is it like the movie The Matrix? Remember the movie The Matrix?
Love that movie.
Right? Neo and Morpheus. Neo's the guy being programmed by Morpheus to clear all patterns to become like a superhero. If this bullying pattern is like that, like a program like in that movie, could I clear it? So I worked on myself, then I felt a feeling of release, which is what you feel when you clear the pattern, and it shows it in the computerized voice maps as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, I cleared it. Let's see what happens. Well, a couple weeks later, within those next 2 weeks, those horrible, mean people, remember, around me all the time.
Yeah.
Deepak, I don't want to be around you anymore. You don't fit with me anymore. You don't fit with, and then they all basically said, you don't fit. They all left everything, relationships, friends, everybody left. Then I said, oh my God, now I'm alone again. But guess what? Within 2 weeks later, these wonderful, nurturing, compassionate, caring, positive, enthusiastic, passionate people came into my life from all areas, from all of those horrible people. Then I said, whoa, I don't even know what it's like to be,
yeah, it's very different.
I didn't even know what it's like because I never experienced it. And the reason I want to share that story with your viewers and listeners is that even though you had a life of drawing these maybe horrible situations, people, events in your life over and over again, you don't even know what it's like or what a loving relationship is or anything like that. You can have it, even if you've never experienced it before, because I did it for myself and I did it for others too. So I started working on one person at a time until I worked on hundreds and hundreds of people all over the US and all over the world, because it can all be done remotely.
Which is amazing. I mean, the fact that you're able to do that remotely and tap into people all over. I mean, one, it makes it more convenient. It sounds like you've streamlined the process as well, which is fantastic. I mean, who doesn't want it to be easier, right? Or less steps. But I really do feel like that's such a beautiful journey in the sense that even though, there were struggles and there were things and being alone and all of that, it finally got to a point where it was good that people left you. It was good that those people sort of left your center of gravity because you were no longer aligned with who they were and what they were doing. And now you were able to welcome in the positive. And I think it's so necessary for people to understand that you don't have to take your life at face value how it is. You can always become more confident, more yourself, align yourself with better people. And this is just proof of it, right? And you get to help other people experience that. I mean, I have said this multiple times on my podcast, but I've never experienced happiness like I did after what I thought was going to be a time that was going to break me. And instead, it was such a transformative period and allowed me to see things in such a better light and become more myself and more confident. But in that, it's like, I didn't know that previously. Like, I was surrounded by, some narcissists, and I did have selfish relationships and friendships where it was very one-sided. But just because you haven't had that, as you said, doesn't mean that has to be the rest of your life. And you can change it at any time that you choose to, right?
Correct. You absolutely can. And the key part of this is, and following up with exactly what you said, is clearing the patterns of the past. Essentially, in a simpler explanation, what I'm doing is unwiring the unresourceful perceptions of the past, like unhooking the wires, releasing the emotional charges stored in those different events of the past, and then reconnecting it in a completely optimized way, which was totally different than how it was connected before. Thus, as you said, shifting your perception of that you had in the past to a completely new way of looking at things. Thus, when you look at things in a new way, you draw more wonderful things into your life, like I did, and many others I've worked on, in a way they never had before. Here's an example. I was working, and I've worked on many women in the similar kind of theme, but I'll talk about one of them. She was drawing the most horrible, in her case, relationships with men, and she said that she ever had. Neurotic, controlling, manipulative, narcissistic, gaslighting, negative, pessimistic, every name in the book, and you can
Which
think.
I don't mean to laugh at, because obviously that's horrible, but at the same time, it's like sometimes they come with it all. It's just a negative force that's pulling you down. And I say, in those types of dynamics, it's like they're stealing your light, like they're stealing all of that energy and all of that, frequency that you have while they're with you. So the fact you can feel that. So I'm not surprised that she was expressing difficulty with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then so she would try to get out of that, and some would stalk her, and then she'd have restraining orders. And then eventually she'd say, okay, I finally got rid of this person. But guess what? Soon after that, she would draw someone else. They looked totally different height, size, weight, but they had the same energy, that same kind of narcissistic, controlling, manipulative, negative, the same kind of pattern. So this happened over and over again. So she came to me saying, Deepak, I'm so fed up with all these different men. I am a very caring, compassionate, honest woman. Why am I drawing these horrible people in my life? And I told her, you are that woman. You are just everything wonderful about you, but it has nothing to do with who you are now. It's because of patterns from the past that you're not consciously aware about. In other words, they're subconscious. You see, we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is a grocery list of the things we're supposed to do the next day that we often forget, our goals or things we want to accomplish in our life. That's our conscious mind. But the subconscious mind is everything else. Every thought, feeling, and emotion in every fraction of a second since the day we were born. It doesn't matter if we consciously remember it or not. Because when there's unresolved events of the past, they carry an energy, maybe a negative energy, and that holds, it doesn't go away. And what that does is projects energy into the future, draws negative situations to you, and that piles on top of that experience like a snowball going down a hill and getting faster and faster. And then that keeps going forward and forward till sometimes things just explode out of nowhere, seemingly, and that's where they come from. So I track it back to the very beginning, since the time you were born, and clear those limiting patterns, thus clearing the pathway. So in this case of this woman, I started doing the clearing process going back to her childhood and when she was growing up. And when I started doing that, then suddenly after, couple of sessions, then she started noticing some wonderful men started appearing in her life. And she said, Deepak, these men are like nothing I had before. They are so nice and caring. I think I need to go for this man right now. So I said, whoa, hold on. Enjoy, go dancing, go dating, have a good time, but just hang with me because there's more. That's the first train station. There's more on the way.
There's more to be done. There's better out there. So you don't want to go with the first thing that comes into your life that's good, because it doesn't necessarily mean that's, and I don't mean to say that you rank people by good to best, but when you start aligning with things, you never know how much more you can align with.
Exactly. And she had never seen that kind of relationship. Just like I remember when those people came, I was like, well, what is that? So, but because I've done this work now for 20 years, I understood her potential because I can see what she couldn't see within herself, you see? I said, yeah. So I kept working on her and clearing more layers of things because the subconscious stores things in layers. And then the following couple of weeks, she said, oh my God, now these people men are even much better than the first time. I said, I told you it's going to get better. Oh my God, they have been more friendlier, more nicer. Wow, Deepak, I mean, come on, I got to go for this. I said, oh, hang on, you're doing much better now. So just date, have a good time, party, whatever, but just hang with me. So finally we kept going forward and they kept getting better and better till finally she comes later on, Deepak, I think this guy's my soulmate. And I said, tell me about his energy and everything. And I listened to her and said, yeah. And they've been together since that day. So it's very cool. I have many stories like that. But literally, if I didn't intervene, she would have kept drawing the same thing over and over again. And if you do the same thing and expect different results, how's that going to happen, right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, isn't that the definition of insanity?
I was trying to avoid, but it's true.
It is. I mean, obviously, we're not insane for doing things that we've been either programmed to do, or we've, aren't come naturally because that's either how we were raised or how we were, told to act or told to think or told to bring in. And that sticks with you. I mean, that is something that's wired within you, as you mentioned.
Right.
And to go back to your point of sort of rewiring and breaking that pattern, and how things and emotions can come back up, even though you think that they're back there, they're done with all of that. I was actually just talking to a friend the other day about how sometimes we don't even know it, that something is like we're on the brink of either crying or like, stress or something like that. You're kind of carrying this with you, and you go through your week, and then small thing happens. You start to get a little irritated. Small thing happens, and you're like, why am I so irritated over this small thing? And the next thing you know, we like to say like I stubbed my toe, and suddenly like it all gets released, because you really don't know what you're holding on to. And that's like a very, sort of funny, simple example, but I think that does really impact our day to day. I mean, I can think of examples that I didn't realize I harbored anger. Like, I don't have a good relationship with my father, and I've expressed that, on some of these episodes, and I'm a very open book about it. And I was like, oh, I've closed that chapter. I've let go of that anger. I've released all of that. And 13 years after we didn't have a relationship anymore, he reached out, and all of this came back up. So it really is you don't truly understand what's happening sort of on the shelf of your life if you think it's, you think it's tucked away, but it's still sitting on the shelf.
Exactly right. I heard this statement, Deepak, when I was a kid, time heals all wounds, right? And I used to believe that. But when I got into this work, because of my own challenging journey, no, you saw, I went through that bullying thing my whole life. No, time didn't heal all wounds, and it won't. I worked on a lady who was 90, okay? She had depression for 65 years and was doing talk therapy with somebody for, believe it or not, that many years, 65 years. But she still was severely depressed, and she somehow found out about my work. Mm-hmm. And everyone hated her. She hated her life. She didn't want to live another day. I mean, she had no friends. So I saw those patterns in her childhood, in her life, but I was able to track it back from 90 all the way down to age 7. And I was able, because that's where it started from. This teacher said, you're not pretty. You're not as smart as everyone here. I don't even know why you're part of, I don't know why a teacher would say that, but she did. So she didn't believe in herself. She didn't love herself, and she drew relationships that reflected her not being loved, and so many unfortunate situations, and people hating her. So fast forward, I cleared all of that. And then what started happening is suddenly all these friends started manifesting for her. Gifts were put at her door. And remember, she had no friends.
Yeah.
And she said, she was wondering why the gifts were at her door. Apparently, new people coming to the retirement home thought she's the main connector of everyone there. And she was the enemy of everyone there, supposedly. And then she got invited to all these parties and family reunions, and she's not even a family member. And she was sitting at the head table of all those family reunions. And she was like, oh my God, I'm getting all these friends and everything. The guy who used to help carry stuff to her place, he was like, do I have to help you? Do I have to do this? He was like very cranky, But once I cleared her, when she went back to the same place, the retirement place, that same guy goes, ma'am, can I help you? May I carry it upstairs? May I open your groceries for you? May I put anything on the shelf for you? She was like, is that the same guy? It looks like the same guy.
What a difference.
And so the quantum reality changed in her outer world. That guy didn't know he's acting any different. So then she came to me in a follow-up session and said, Deepak, I have a problem. I go, ma'am, what is your problem? Everything's going so well. You didn't want to live another day in your life. You have hope for living. You had no friends. Now everyone hates you. Now you have so many friends, too many friends to count. She goes, well, yeah, that's why I came here. I've been invited to so many family reunions and so many parties. I can't go to them all. So I have to say no to half of them. How do I say no?
That's a tough one. So but a good problem to have, better than what she was dealing with.
Exactly what I told her. I said, that is a good problem to have. I will teach you to say no. No problem. If no one said yes to you and you didn't say yes to anyone else, no problem with that. So these patterns follow us our whole life. And would you be interested to know the 4 phases I discovered that we all go through? Because this will explain a lot of the reasons why we go through these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to take a deep dive into that. And I'd love for you to kind of explain those phases and then, the actual advanced voice biofeedback. I mean, we kind of talked about the rewiring, but, as someone who is new to this before, I'm sure we're going to have some listeners who are new to it as well. So it'd be great to just dive into that.
Absolutely. So all of y'all listening, watching, I found we go through these 4 phases, all of us, no exception. The first phase is when our parents decide to procreate you. And I'm being very direct here. I know, but it's true. It's true. I mean, it's just this is how it is. When they're procreating us, this new being that's being created in this world, the issue is the emotions they have in the moment that they are procreating you. They're not aware of this, but it's there. Mm-hmm. Let's say the father was frustrated, not happy where he is in his life, maybe financially or administration wise. Maybe he's not so happy in the relationship with your mom at the time, or they're fighting all the time, and maybe had a traumatic life which he never cleared. That all is in the equation when he's procreating. But in the mom, maybe she wasn't ready to have a child. Maybe she wasn't too happy in the relationship with him, and she's just tolerating it or something. All of that. So what happens, and I'm able to quantify this in this work, a certain percentage of their unresolved emotion gets downloaded into the otherwise clean hard drive. There's nothing on the subconscious of this little kid being formed into that. That's phase 1. Yeah. But then there's phase 2. What is phase 2? Phase 2 is when you're in your mom's womb for 9 months incubating, but also incubating every thought, feeling, and emotion in every fraction of a time that your mom is feeling. So if your mom is like, oh, I wasn't ready to have this kid. Oh, I'm not so happy in the relationship with him, your dad. Oh, I wanted to be a jet setter. I wasn't ready to have a kid just yet. Whatever it is, that unresolved goes to the kid. Maybe if the kid says, oh, she wasn't ready to have a kid. Oh, then I wasn't wanted. Maybe I should have never been born. Even if the mom never says that to the kid will pick that up.
And feel that energy. Yeah.
And
it makes sense when you're, growing, in your mother's womb, you feed off of her food and you feed, you get your nutrients from her. So it doesn't surprise me that sort of energy sort of transfers as well, because for 9 months, it's a lot of thoughts and feelings.
A lot of thoughts and feelings. And what if you're in the womb and your parents are fighting? Whatever. Okay. The kid's in there going, hey, I can hear you guys. And that also shakes up the nervous system of the kid. Because if it was a nurturing, loving time, then the kid would feel, oh, it's safe, everything's good. And by the way, their immune system is strong. But if it's like, oh my, I'm walking on eggshells, oh my God, they're fighting, oh my God, then the kid will have it could compromise the immune system, and they'll be like, oh my God, it's scary, the world is scary. That all comes from there. That's in phase 2 when you're in your mom's womb. But then there's phase 3. And what is phase 3?
We've gone 2 phases and we're not even born yet.
We're not even born yet. That's only 2 phases. I know. So then, exactly. So now you have phase 3, Corinne. Phase 3 is when you're born. But now when you're born, you have the direct interface of the parents telling you things. Because I found also, in dating back to a lot of research and data, hundreds of years, that from the time you're born till the time you're 7, whatever is said and done in those years is not questioned by us at all, no matter how crazy it is, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in all ways. So in other words, if the parents told the kid, wow, I never really wanted to have a kid, or gosh, when the kid is growing up, gosh, I thought you'd be more talented. I guess you didn't get the talent in the family, did you? Look at that girl across the street. Do you see how tall she is, how beautiful she walks, how great she sings, how good she is in school? Look how she holds her head straight. Can't you be like her? What's the message? I'm not good who I am. I got to be like somebody else because I'm not good at who I am.
Yeah.
Myself. Right.
Well, I wonder too, because obviously you're so fresh into the world, you haven't developed a lot. So, I can see why that would be taken at face value, because you don't have anything probably don't have a lot to compare it to or know how to do the comparison at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
And why wouldn't you take it as truth? That's your world. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
The other part of it is, and the reason why you don't question it, yes, you don't even know who you are truly. And that's because when you're from 0 to 7, you're like in the deepest Zen-like monk state, believe it or not, meaning that you're like, believe it or not, a sponge. You can learn anything. You can become an instant Mozart. You can become an instant ballet, the greatest ballet dancer on earth. You can be the greatest singer on earth. 0 to 7, you are like an open sponge. That's very good, but also that can be the other side, because if you're being told and programmed negative things by the parents, like, oh God, you're not good at this at all. God, you're not smart at all. I wish you were smarter. I wish you did this like this, or whatever. That program's also the other side. So that's not questioned. That's the reason why 0 to 7, you don't know who you are. You're being formed into this like vase, like a vase.
Yeah.
You're being told what to do. So, and that continues until age 12, I found. So 0 to 7 is the meat of it.
A lot of time.
Yeah, 0 to 7 is the key. Like you're forming, like that mold, the clay mold. But then 8 to 12, it gets formulated really solid. So that means 0 to 12, whatever's said and done in those years, now that's how you see the world. If you feel you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not pretty, you're not talented, you're not all those things, that's how you see the world from then onwards. It doesn't matter how many degrees or achievements you get, you still won't feel good about yourself.
I mean, they say that your childhood really carries with you, but this is on, I think, a level that a lot of us haven't even thought about. I mean, it's like, as you say it, and I know we chatted about this before, it's like, as you were sort of telling me this, it makes sense, but I never would have probably put 2 and 2 together. I mean, you kind of think about it like, okay, my parents, in a sense of when I'm born, my parents' beliefs sort of get, put on me, and what they say, I kind of adapt, and that sort of nature versus nurture conversation. But there's a lot to it that you're already dealing with on that subconscious level.
Exactly. Because consciously later on as an adult, you go, oh yeah, that was really mean what my dad said, or how he acted with me. But from 0 to 12, you accepted it. You didn't question it, especially 0 to 7. So because you didn't question it, it's in the subconscious mind. And if you think of an iceberg, the huge part of the iceberg below the water, 95% of the iceberg, you don't see it, it's below the water. That's our subconscious mind. The conscious mind is like, oh, that was wrong what he said. But guess what? The 95% below the water said, no, I guess that's true. It believes it. So that's why it's like two people hand wrestling. The subconscious mind is this huge muscular person. The conscious mind is a skinny person who's going to win pretty much every time. So if you have a belief like, well, I can achieve this and I can do this and I can have a wonderful relationship and I can all that, that's your conscious mind. But subconscious mind might say, because of programming from your childhood, if it was negative, no, you don't deserve it. No, that's BS. No, you're not going to have that. So in spite of us having that feeling. So that's phase 3, right? I told you?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have that programming going on, but then comes phase 4. So what's phase 4? You're already 3 phases. That's a lot, right?
Right.
Phase 4 is when you take phase 1, 2, and 3, which I just discussed, and apply it into your own life and create those same situations that your parents did in their life and your grandparents did in their life into your own life, and also into your future kids' lives. And then they do the same thing too.
So that's all those patterns.
Those are 4 phases. Yes.
Now we're creating the patterns from the subconscious that we've already developed. Like now we're actually consciously creating them in our lives.
Right. Unbeknownst to us, even if we don't want to create it. And that's why those women were drawing these negative people over and over again. And guess what? When I'm able to with my software and everything, like, she said, why did I draw this guy in my life? I'll say, let me decode it. Oh, this guy was 75% like your father's father, who had major anger management issues. This one had depression of your mother's mother, which, and 75% of that, and 80% of your mom and 70% of your dad, and mix it together in a soup, and you got this guy. So it's always going to be a percentage mix of all those parents and grandparents in your life. Do you know why? It's because that's all we knew. That's all the information in our hard drive, in our subconscious. That's what it's accessing from. this is, that's all the data it has. So it projects that forward.
Yeah. I mean, they say you seek what you know. And if that's what you know in your prior life, whether you're thinking about it or not, you're going to attract that because it's familiar. It's something that you're used to.
That's a good point. It feels familiar. So even if the person is horrible, the subconscious goes, oh, that's familiar. That, and even if it's negative and terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny how familiarity and something that's not good for you can still, it can still feel normal to you because that is your normal. That is your baseline. So it feels almost like it's safe and comfortable when really we should all be running the opposite direction.
Exactly.
But because that's what we've known, you attract what you know almost, I mean, there's ways to change it, obviously, but
there is.
It's that pattern showing back up.
Yes. You'll often be you'll attract it and you'll go in the direction of that pattern of, this person's like your grandfather and father and mother's mother kind of mixed together. Oh, I think I'm going to go for that. Even if there were negative patterns of all those different people, depression, anxiety, fears, phobias, addictions, whatever, you'll be drawn to it and it'll feel comfortable. You know why? We think the subconscious is here to make us successful, but the subconscious wants to keep you in a box. Even if that box means suffering and unhappiness and all this stuff, because that's all it knew. That is, until we clear the subconscious of those limiting patterns of thinking, unwire it, release the emotional charges of the past, of all those people, their own charges, and then rewire it in an optimal way so you have a new perception of the whole world. And then when you put your intention out, you start drawing positive things, what you actually really wanted without the baggage of the past.
I was going to say, because in a lot of, talk therapy and all of that, they say that, as you're sort of stepping away from negative things and working through that and going into, something that might be for the first time, like, your 90-year-old client who, like, for the first time was, having these friendships and relationships and things, or, the woman who started attracting, men who were better. And that doesn't feel comfortable and it feels weird to people. Like, I've seen so many, people speak on their own experiences of when they finally have something good for them, how it almost feels like a threat to their subconscious. Whereas this is it's such a refreshing thing to hear that you can clear those biases, those patterns, those things from your past and your subconscious, so that way you don't feel like it's a threat or you don't feel like it's not good for you, even though it is, like they say it's hard to go in the direction of what's good for you when all you know is, sort of that bad stuff.
Exactly. It's like if that's all you have in your hard drive of in your disk drive of your computer, then that's all you have as a reference point. Yeah. Especially even if you had negative experiences, it's the emotional charge behind those emotional experiences that's actually creating this. So so when I clear these limiting emotional patterns from people, they'll still have the memories of what happened, but that emotional charge isn't there. You see, I did it from where it occurred. Yeah. So oftentimes a person forgets, I didn't remember that happened in my childhood. But when I track it back, then they'll suddenly remember. Because I take them like an elevator in their subconscious to different levels of depth in their subconscious to clear those layers of different stuck emotions in there that they're not even consciously aware of. And then once you clear that, then on autopilot, they start drawing wonderful situations, circumstances in their life, even without saying affirmations.
Which is so amazing. But how does, obviously you're talking about clearing that and, sort of taking them through the depths of their subconscious. How does that technology work? Like, how do you actually apply that for them to clear those instances?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So when I'm working with a client, they're working from the comfort of their home on a laptop, basically, and it has to have a Windows laptop, and they just need a headset with a swing down mic so I can record their voice, because their voice is everything for me. And I have certain software that decodes their voice and emotional patterns into what are called emotional heat voice maps, I call them. Yeah. So there's an emotional charge. So for example, and it doesn't matter the intensity they talk to me, like whether they talk in a soft voice or I'm really upset about this breakup in the relationship. I will pick it up the same. In other words, no one can hide anything from me because I hear it in the voice, you see, and it picks up the energy, not the words they're saying, but the emotional energy in their voice. So it'll show as a higher extreme. So if it shows, of course, I'm simplifying it considerably, but if it shows as a higher extreme emotional charge, that means that's holding them back for that person in their life in a huge way. So what I do is, so think of it like this. Imagine we have 60 trillion cells in our body, right? We'll go with that number. I know there's different numbers.
Hey, I'll take that number.
But we have a lot of them.
I can't fact check you on that.
Yeah, we have tons of these cells all over our body. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But imagine every cell in our body has a keyboard of 12 notes. Okay, I listen for that. But the thing is, if we have different limiting emotions, grief, anger, sadness, fear, worry, doubt, low self-esteem, low self-worth, or whatever it is, I found that different emotions literally squash different keys of our internal keyboard in each of those cells. So I won't hear them, in other words. So in other words, if someone has those different emotions, I won't hear a lot of their voice. And that means other people don't hear them. And if other people don't hear them, they don't see them and they don't acknowledge them, which is the most common thing for all the women I work with. Most of my clients are women that they say, Deepak, I'm not heard, seen, validated, understood, appreciated, acknowledged. That's why that happens. So what I do, you're asking how that works. I reverse engineer it. Rather than figure out the complex emotional issue it is, I will get those stuck keys to play. So let's say the note A or F is not playing. I will resonate those notes, those keys on the piano to play. Remember, they aren't playing because the emotion of grief or anger is sitting on those keys. So, but if I reverse engineer it, I get the key to play versus worrying about what the emotion is. Once the key wants to play, which it will, when I do this process, that emotion will just kind of leave their person's body.
Wow.
It'll start lightening up.
Yeah.
Now, the subconscious does things in layers. So let's say we really lighten up some emotion of anger. Okay. And they're like, oh, all these layers could have been years of stuff. So then suddenly that's cleared. And then suddenly there's sadness below the anger because you can't get to the sadness until you clear this. Okay. Then they'll suddenly feel the sadness. And then we said, okay, now we'll work on that. And then we clear that. And this is going back to, from way back when they had all these layered emotions. So they never were dealt with. So they just piled up. Yeah. So once we clear these layers and layers of emotion, then they become liberated and free. Now those keys are playing. And guess what? People are seeing them and hearing them in ways they never did before. They're attracting wonderful people in their lives like I did, wonderful experiences, like I said, law of attraction, opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere, all these kinds of things. But it's because we're a walking projector. Did you know that? We're a walking projector of all of our emotions, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. When we used to, when we talk, I used to think, oh, we're just talking with our vocal cords, right?
Yeah.
No, we're speaking with every single cell of our being. Even if we said 60 trillion cells, we're speaking with every single cell of our being, everything we've got. So if we're holding limiting emotions, those are also being projected into the cosmos.
Oh, that's so fascinating because honestly, how when you talk to somebody or you don't hear them, you kind of just hear their tone instead of what they're saying, or you have this gut feeling that something feels off. It's that energy that they're releasing that they don't even know. They could be talking about I don't like the book from book club, but really what's coming out is it hit a theme that was triggering for them and it let out this, this emotion that's on their voice. And suddenly people are like, I can't even tell what you're talking about anymore. I just feel that the feelings that the energy that you're exuding. So it's crazy because I feel like people will understand that on a different level just from their day-to-day experiences of when they come across somebody and they have a gut feeling about them, or when they feel someone's tone instead of what they're saying. I mean, how many times have people had miscommunication? And that's probably what it boils down to.
It does. This used to happen to me before I discovered all of this whole process. I talked to someone for 20 minutes passionately about something I'm excited about. and the other person would say, "Oh, Deepak, were you saying something to me?" I'm like, "Oh, could you tell me again what you said?" I was like, now I have to get back to where I was. I was like, "You didn't hear one word I said?" I said, "No, I thought you were saying something, like some noise is coming out of your mouth." And what I found out, because as I just explained earlier, the notes in my voice were squashed. You see, because I had all these different, I'm not good enough, I should keep my voice low, I don't deserve to be seen or heard. I had these different patterns before.
All these things, yeah.
So that squashed the notes in my voice, so I wasn't heard. But of course, once I cleared those patterns, then I was really heard and acknowledged. Like there was a lady who went through so much mental, emotional, physical abuse in her childhood. And so what she did is she found a way to break through that and succeed in her business. So she wanted to inspire other women to do the same thing. Like I got through it, you can too. But for many years, when she gave the presentation, the women would gossip during her presentation when they should have been crying when she told her about their challenging childhood. And when she finally got to the climax of how she triumphed, nobody cared. So she came to me upset, and at that time I was when she saw me in the Zoom upset. Deepak, why is this happening to me? Look, can you please look at my PowerPoint and tell me how to improve it? So maybe my wording is off or something. So I looked at her PowerPoint and I go, I said, your PowerPoint is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, then why were they not listening to me or paying attention to me? I said, well, let me tell you, it's your voice. When I listened to your voice, I could barely hear it. And that's because you have though you conquered all these things, you never actually released the emotional charge from your past. But I'll help you with that. So I helped her release that. And then I said, I have a homework assignment for you. What? I want you to give that same verbatim presentation to basically the same group of women again, even though it didn't work for you before. You are not the same woman. I'm really hearing your voice, very powerful. I can hear all the notes in your voice. She said, Deepak, but it was so humiliating. I said, hey, you're not the same woman now. Trust me. Trust me. I verified it.
She was like, don't put me through that again.
That's what she first said. Yeah, it's like, why are you doing that to me? So I said, just report back to me what happened. So she gave that verbatim, word for word, same presentation. And as she started telling about her childhood traumas and what she went through, what she suffered through, tears were coming from the women's eyes. No response from any previous one. Then when she got to the climax of how she triumphed and got into her business success, the women thunderously stood on their feet and clapped in an uproarious way. And she was like, oh my gosh. And they ran to her table and got her courses and everything. And she came to me later and said, Deepak, I can't believe this. The same exact presentation I did for years. This is the first time I had a standing ovation in my whole life. What is the difference? I said, the difference is you. You are being seen and heard because you didn't have that baggage from the past squashing you from being heard and seen. So because when you're heard, you're seen, and then when you're seen, you're acknowledged. So that's the power of this work, and you'll get a voice, by the way, Corinne, like you've never had before. I guarantee it.
Oh, I bet. I mean, again, we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the episode about how your work really lends itself for people to become authentically themselves. And as you were saying, when people are releasing these patterns and they're going through their subconscious and you're working through those layers, as you kind of peel back those layers, which like every time I talk about peeling back layers, I think of the movie Shrek and peeling back an onion. But like, it's true though, when you take away all of that noise and all of that stuff that you've had sitting on the shelf, you allow yourself to actually speak as you want to speak and, act as you want to speak and attract as you want to attract. And really, it feels like when you break these patterns and you get rid of all of that excess, you get to actually become who you were without all of this extra, programming or all of that extra. So, I mean, I'm sure you've seen, like, as people break those patterns, like, what kind of changes do you see? I mean, with this speech, like, it resonated with people. You're able to be, seen and heard. But what other type of changes do you see in the people that you work with? Because it sounds like from top to bottom, there's so many drastic changes.
So many. You're so right, Corinne. Well, like a lot of times when I'm working with people in the beginning, without them realizing, their kind of shoulders are bent forward, their head is tilted down, they talk with the downward tonality, besides the most limiting emotional patterns of guilt or shame or regret, whatever they had. So as I start clearing these limiting patterns without them even realizing, session by session, they start sitting straighter, their shoulders are back, they relax their shoulders, they have a more smile on their face automatically, because you'll start feeling happy for no reason when you start doing this work with me too.
And probably lighter. I mean, all those layers.
Lighter is a great word.
Leaving you.
That's a perfect word, lighter, because literally those limiting emotions are a weight on you. See, they're a weight on you. So yes, you'll actually feel lighter, happier, more self-assured, more self-confident. You'll start believing yourself, and people, even strangers, will start noticing you and start coming up with the people I work with, and start coming up to you and say, "Oh, I don't think I've met you before. Can you tell me more about yourself?" This lady I used to work with, she used to jog across the beach in California and go to this coffee shop. And whenever she went there, and while she was running to the coffee shop, all these people would frown. And as she told me, this is her saying, and kind of give her scowls, which I thought was strange, but that's what happened. I hadn't worked with her at that time. That was just before she started working with me. And then when she'd go to the coffee shop, she'd order her latte or whatever, and they'd give it to someone else, or she'd wait for it and they'd never, I forgot to make it, sorry, or that kind of thing. And also people there would just ignore her. Like even when she got her latte, they would be like, no, everyone would just avoid her. So I started working on her, clearing her patterns, and you won't believe this. She then started running across the beach, and she said people would smile and go, "Hey, how's it going?" And these are people she doesn't, no strangers. Like, that's weird. Like no one's ever
right? She hasn't felt that before.
Never felt that before. And then she goes to the coffee shop where they always misplace her order, or she's the last one to get it, or people ignore her. And then suddenly the guy goes, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Every time you come here, we always get your order wrong, or we forget to give it to you. I'm so sorry. Here's the one on the house. And I'm so sorry for all the things in the past. We'll make sure that doesn't happen again." And she was like, "What?" And that never happened before. And then she goes to a table where everyone would avoid her, and then suddenly all these people come up to her. "Oh, I don't think we've met you. I've met you before." She goes to the shop every day. "I don't think I've met you before." I was like, "Oh, are you new here? And tell me about yourself." And I'm still like, "Who are where are these people coming from?"
Yeah,
and by changing it inside, the energy you project, it changes everything.
Very true. And I mean, there's like that saying that like misery loves company. Well, obviously, if you're exuding this either negative energy or these extra added emotions that you don't even know that you're carrying, of course, people aren't going to want to like approach. They see this bubble of like, it's almost like, don't come near me. Whereas when you clear that and you have this good energy, I mean, good energy attracts people. It makes you, you see someone smiling and you see someone happy, automatically you want to talk to them or interact with them. So it's no wonder that doing all of that sort of invites that, good energy, invites all of that in and attracts all of that stuff, like you said, without even manifesting.
Exactly. Because it's different than if someone is feeling sad and they're trying to force a smile, the energy, even though they're smiling, the energy is incongruent with how they're really feeling. You see? So, but this is genuinely feeling that from the core. So it's a natural kind of energy, right? Like, let's say someone's giving a presentation on how to improve relationships, but their own relationship broke up with them right before they're going to talk to the audience. This is an actual case study. So let's say it's a woman talking about how to get the ideal men in your life. And then that man broke up with her right before she gives a presentation. So she said, "This is how you do it." But the women in the audience didn't respond that way, because she had this anger of like, how could he do this to me? I was wrong. This was supposed to last a long time. So even though she's giving good information and putting a smile on her face, the energy to the audience was, "Oh, I was betrayed. I was taken advantage of. So what's happening is we are actually emailing our emotions into an audience, or even to a one-to-one of what we're feeling, regardless. So it's not only what we're saying, it's what we're on the carrier wave of emotion of what we're feeling, like what you just said here.
Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, even with that example right there, she's not authentically being herself. In that moment, she's dealing with heartbreak and all of that, but she's trying to say happy, positive things. I mean, it's hard, especially when you're going into a presentation to do a last minute pivot, but I bet you that audience would have resonated so much more of, you know, what I'm going through, but there's still hope and there's still ways to attract your, you know, future partner and all of that. And like, she's still, well, maybe she wasn't hopeful in the moment, so maybe not, but it's not her being authentic. And you can feel,
That's what I'm saying.
feel when someone isn't talking from their heart, essentially. They're talking from, you know, anger, or they're talking from sadness, or they're talking from insecurity instead of what they're actually feeling. That comes across, as you said, in that energy that you're sort of emailing to people.
Exactly. And even if the people in the audience weren't fully conscious, their subconscious gets that feeling from that being emailed to them from the presenter, like, oh, I was wrong. And then, so they're getting that there, and that might trigger maybe their own stuff of being betrayed, or, you know, being dumped in a relationship or whatever. So then they get triggered in a negative way, and it's supposed to be a positive message, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's their own stuff being triggered, and they may not even know, why am I suddenly feeling upset when she's giving a positive message? So, you know what I'm saying? So
suddenly I feel like I got broken up with now.
Exactly. So, but the work can also change people around you. Like I worked on a mom, right? And she was an author, and everyone loved her as an author, as a writer.
Yeah.
But her own teenage kids, or actually they're in their mid-20s, were so disrespectful of their mom, the daughter and the son. They stayed there living with their mom. The son wasn't cleaning up, doing anything, helping around the house, or doing anything. The mom had to do everything. And the daughter was very disrespectful to the mom, and not helping in the kitchen or anything else, and kind of mean to mom. And so she came to me, Deepak, you know, I'm not very happy with my kids. I'm a successful writer, and all these people love me, but my kids are not showing any appreciation of me.
Yeah.
Can this work help them? I said, well, I can help you in relationship to them, because remember I said the imprinting ages from 0 to 12, 13. But I can't, you know, now they're older than that, but I can help you with dealing with the upset of how they're treating you. So I worked on her, and I cleared those limiting, you know, the upset that she had towards her kids acting disrespectful for her. And she felt, okay, I feel at peace now. What happened after that was very interesting. Those same the kids who were acting mean to her, suddenly the son, right after he did the session, came up to mom and said, Mom, you know what? I've been acting like a jerk with you. I haven't been cleaning the house, raking the yard, throwing the garbage, you know, organizing the shelves like you wanted me to. That was you're such a wonderful, talented mom. Many people don't have a mom. I'm so lucky to have one. I'm going to start doing it on my own. I will start cleaning the yard, organizing the shelves, clean out the garage, raking the leaves. I'm going to do all that. I'm so sorry I didn't do it in the past. Please accept my apology. It's like, is that the same son I had?
Right. And as a parent, to hear that from your kid in general is
that was her
almost
upset.
unheard of.
And then the daughter, who didn't know the son said that at all, on a separate time, came up to mom and said, Mom. She kind of put her arms around her. I am so sorry. I've been acting so mean and cruel to you. I was really acting like a jerk. I'm so sorry. I'm so grateful to have a mom who's so talented and gifted, who inspires me. Of course, I haven't been helping you at all. I've been doing my own things. I've been selfish. I will help you in the kitchen. I will help you take care of things. I will help you. I'm so lucky to have a mom. Many people don't have a mom, and you're such a sweet one. Please accept me for my apology. I'm so sorry. She said it separately. Then she came up to me. She later talked to me, Deepak, how did that happen? You cleared it from me, and then I said, I didn't expect that. I said, if they're in the imprinting age 0 to 13, I know that as I shift you, the kids will shift. But I didn't know even when they're that age that because you shifted, they shifted. But apparently that's the case.
That's so nice to hear that you can, one, work on somebody who obviously is coming to you with potentially some issues or wants to clear out their subconscious and kind of work on themselves. But the fact that it impacts other people, I mean, that's just like an added bonus, right?
Totally. Did not expect that at all. And it's true. Like, I recently worked on a lady who's from Canada who had a very abusive childhood. Mom would beat her and
Yeah.
everyone's mean to her. But the interesting thing is, and I just did she was a much older lady too. As I started working on her, her husband was mean to her, her daughter was very mean to her, and these were much older kids, and everybody was really mean and horrible to her. And her coworker at work was also very horrible with her. I started working on her, clearing the
Mhm.
traumas from the past, especially from her childhood, from the beatings and all that.
Yeah.
And then what happened, I said, go ahead and share with me what you've noticed. I always do that in the beginning of our session. And she said, well, Deepak, my husband is suddenly acting loving with me. He was like tormenting me. He's acting loving with me. I said, what about your daughter? Like, I thought she was really mean with you, didn't want to help you at all. No, she's suddenly acting so friendly. She's helping me in the kitchen now on her own without me even asking. Really? Yeah. And what about that coworker? Oh, she's really
Yeah.
taking it back. She suddenly started acting nicer with me. I said, well, that's only after we did these sessions, right? Has any of these people ever acted differently before? No, they're acting worse every time.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa. And so even much older, so
Yeah.
her husband and, her daughter who's much older than the 20s. So what I'm saying is I didn't realize the impact of what
Mhm.
this can change. So it's not only changing your world, but it's changing the world around you.
Well, I bet, in that sort of being your authentic self, the more that you show up as you without those extra emotions, and I'm I'm sure that those changes, people see them, and people now don't feel that negative energy, or they don't feel that extra weight that you're carrying, and therefore, they change how they are around you. I mean, you had said in plenty of the examples that you've talked about today, of how, people are suddenly willing to help them or apologizing for past things. And it's like, when you change your frequency, people tend to want to meet you there almost.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a cause and effect, it just suddenly happens. I have so
Yeah.
many amazing stories like that. I mean,
I mean, I bet.
so many that are just unbelievable. Yeah, I'd be happy to share another one if you're interested. But yeah, there's so many stories.
I can only imagine the people that you've impacted with this work, and I feel like, it was so intriguing for me to learn more and to learn about the work that you're doing, because it's just another way that people can help themselves, right? And get to who they
Oh,
truly are at their core. So, if somebody
well,
wanted to work with you or wanted to learn more, where can they reach you?
oh, great. Great question. So what they can do is they can go to my website, which is www.fastanxietyhelp.com. So that's FASTANXIETY help, HELP.com. If they go to that website, they can sign up for a complimentary 15-minute consult with me, no obligations, where when we meet by Zoom, you can share all the challenges going on in your life. They're just an open discussion, and I
Yeah,
will listen to you and connect with you, and I will map out a plan of how I can help clear those patterns for you and create the life that you're desiring to have in all areas. So that's the first step I recommend. And you can even check out the testimonials on my website as well after you sign up, and to see how so many people benefited, because you might connect to some of their experiences.
absolutely. Yeah, you never know whose story will inspire you, or you feel like, oh, I went through that too. Well, if you can help them, then they can help you. They can get help as well in that sort of respect. But
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
somebody is like curious about this, can they do anything to kind of start their journey? I mean, because biofeedback, I mean, I won't lie, I wouldn't know where to start.
Right, right. And I even called it biofeedback, but it's far more advanced than that, and it's using the
Mhm.
sound of the voice. So that's why I called it advanced voice biofeedback. But it's actually two-way communication, or biocommunication, which is the next quantum generation of where biofeedback was. But I just use that word so people can connect to it. But
Mhm.
in the moment, like, let's say, of course, if you want to work with me, we'll go to the root cause of what's causing
Yeah,
it and just take care of it at the root. So, it completely clears it for the future and in your future generations. But let's say in the moment, you're looking for something like I can do right now while, that'll help me in the moment. So
mhm.
let's say someone cuts you off in traffic, you got fired from your job, or someone yelled at you or acted mean to you, and you're so upset. Okay. So I'll just ask this of your audience members, like who are listening or watching this. I'd like you to all think about something like really upsetting that happened. So if we go from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is the most,
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be a mild one, so something close to a 10. Think of something that really upset you in some way, it could be something simple, but like something upset. So if you all can think of that, okay, hold that in your mind, feel the emotion of that. And what the first technique we're going to do is called thought field therapy. It was developed by a person by the name of Dr. Roger Callahan, who in my early days before I figured this out with this technology, this was a technique I did, which was very helpful. So this is something you can do in the moment. And what you do is you take your fingers or the palms of your fingers, you think of that challenging situation like, oh, I was so upset that this person said this to me, or gossiped about me.
Yeah.
So then you can take your fingers and you tap in the beginning of the eyebrow with both hands for those listening.
Oh.
While you think of that and feel the emotion of that.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So like, oh yeah, I was so upset that this person betrayed me. Okay. With both fingers. Then you tap under the eye. You can do it too if you like. And then you tap under the eye on the bone while you're thinking
So
of
like
that
kind of that
situation.
cheekbone area?
Yeah, the cheekbone
Right
area.
under?
Yes, right here. You tap under the eye on that bone while you say, God, I can't believe that person did that. I can't. You don't have to say that aloud. You can just think that.
Yeah.
I'm just so they understand your audience.
You can think it or speak it, however it works.
Whatever works, yeah. But you can just think it. And then you can take the fists of both arms for those listening, and you go about 4 inches below each armpit, and then tap under the armpit pit like this, for about 4 inches below. Gosh, I'm so upset that person, blah blah blah, did this. And then lastly, you tap under the collarbone. So there's a collarbone that we all have right below our neck for those listening. So right under that bone that protrudes out, just tap under there with both hands. Gosh, I'm so upset that person did that. Da, 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 okay?
Yeah.
Now take a deep breath in. Exhale slowly. Okay? Now, all of you listening and watching, tell me about that number. Tell me if that number dropped. 9 times out of 10, it did.
I was going to say, I bet it did.
Yeah, it pretty much will, because this is how you unwire the nervous system. So then what you can do is you can repeat this over and over again. So it drops from, let's say it was a 10 and dropped to a 7. You do it again, it'll drop to a 5, and so on and so forth. When it gets to around a 2 or 1, pretty much most of the juice is out of the situation.
Yeah.
And so you can function. So that's one technique I was going to offer your viewers and listeners.
Yeah, that's amazing, because that's something that you can pretty much do anywhere.
Anywhere, absolutely, yes. So if something just happened, this is something you can do for the moment. Now, will that go to the root of what caused it? And will that happen again? It may happen again, but at least you have a quick way of putting it out. Now I can take care of the root of where it came from. But now there's a second technique you can do. So let's say something upset you in the moment, or you're anxious about speaking in front of a group of people, and you say, well, I don't know if I'll feel comfortable doing this tapping and technique that you said, because people might be looking at me, or if they feel conscious. Then this is another technique you can do, and it's called box breathing. Okay. So what you do, and all of you listening and watching can do this if you like, sit comfortably, drop your shoulders, relax them, breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly. Now you're going to inhale, and for this count, I'll do it with you. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now inhale again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice that anxiety that may have been a 10 level will also have dropped. And this way, you're not doing any of the tapping technique if that's something you felt uncomfortable with, and it will take you to a relaxed place for the moment. So these are 2 techniques that I thought I would share with your viewers and listeners.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that'll be helpful for so many people. I know that the box breathing I was introduced to after ironically a boxing class. They had like a box and breathe session where you could work out, and then afterwards they did breath work. But I feel like, and maybe, maybe I'm alone in this, but maybe some other people will feel the same way too. Breath work can be so powerful. So doing that in the moment to help you kind of come down from the high of those emotions. I know that I've definitely, even in therapy, I've talked about when you're at the height of an emotion, it's so hard to see clearly, think clearly, act clearly, and all of that. So to be able to breathe, tap, whatever in the moment and kind of come back down, as I would call it, I mean, that'll probably work wonders for a lot of people in the moment. And of course, if they want to seek you out for further work, to go to your website. I'll also put your website in the caption for the episode. So please feel free, anybody watching and listening, to go into the caption and click on that. But I think that's like an excellent starting point for people.
Absolutely. And I know it may have been a lot for them to remember all the steps that I discussed.
They can rewatch or re-listen or go to your website. Is it on there?
Well, it's not on the website, but actually, I also have, you can offer the gift link I gave, which I'll give to you, that they can click on, and they can get the PDF of everything all laid out of those two processes. Excellent. So it's all, so you don't have to try to memorize or watch it. You can just look at that cheat sheet that I'll have. So that'll be a separate link. I call it like a gift link that they can click on to get that technique. But yes, if they want to go to the ultimate level, they can just, no obligations. They can do a 15-minute consult with me by going to my website that I mentioned, fastanxietyhelp.com, and have a 15-minute no obligations consult with me.
Absolutely. Now, I think it's been so nice chatting through with you about everything that you do, how you came to do it, and how you're helping others. I mean, I think it's fantastic from the perspective of it's another way that people, might connect with, or it might work for them. Not everything works for everybody. So to be able to have another avenue that can help achieve being, your confident, authentic self is what we're all about here. So I think it's just truly fantastic. So thank you so much, Deepak, for joining us and letting everybody know about what you do. I mean, I know that I have been inspired by your work already. So I'm really excited for others to kind of take a deep dive into it too.
Thank you so much, Corinne.
Of course. Well, thank you for joining us, all my baddies. I will see you next week on the next episode. Love y'all until next time.